What's good? What's good? What's good, fans? Thank you guys for tuning in today on this. I want to say chilly. It's a abnormally cool day here in Bama on June the 2nd. It was a 72 degrees yesterday. It might be 75 or 76. A little humid though. How you doing up there, Cleveland?
63 and drizzly.
Well, it's kind of drizzly, but it's a humid 70. It's a humid 76. I'd say that today, man. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Let's get it. Let's give Cleveland a round of applause for making time for us today on this Sunday morning out on the West Coast. Thank you for your time, big dog. Fans, this is the Voice of the Fans Sunday special. If you don't know now, you know. We here on Sundays just want to give you just want to whet your palate on some sports topics that's been going on over the weekend and maybe through the week that we didn't catch on Wednesdays. You can catch our full show each Wednesday evening, Cleveland. They can catch the full show, and then we do play a whole host of games for them. The numbers game, give them this week in history, and then also we end the show with the quote. But today is just kind of a quick blast of content, Cleveland, and we just want to touch on some of the topics, man, that's just been current in the world of sports. And we want to start it off, Cleveland. I don't know how much you saw this last night, but we want to talk about boxers and do they know when it's time to give it up? Are they the last to know when it's time to give it up? So kind of shot fighters is the topic I want to carry on, Cleveland. So I got three names listed here of fighters that we probably shouldn't have seen that probably shouldn't have gotten in the ring that last time. And see if we're thinking alike. But the first guy, who's the first guy to come to your mind that probably shouldn't have gotten in the ring one more time?
My hero, Sugar Ray Leonard.
Yeah, that's number one. Ding, 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 ding. Um, After the retina surgery, we know he came back to fight what marvelous Marvin Hagler, and then he went up against terrible Terry Norris, and that probably should have been it, right? He probably shouldn't have came back after the retina surgery, but he did, and he edged that fight out. But then he fought Terry Norris in '91, Cleveland.
Yeah, he actually went up to light heavyweight and beat Donald Golden Boy Lalonde.
Well, hold on. I mean, did he beat Lalonde or? I mean,
Yeah, he knocked him out. Knocked him
out. Okay.
He can't. What he didn't knock him out?
I mean, I don't recall it that way, but okay. I don't have it up. So did he knock Lalonde out? I think he shouldn't have fought Lalonde.
He knocked him out.
Okay.
So then the Terry Norris fight, that was horrible. Uh-huh. And then he came back and tried to fight Hector Macho Camacho and got pummeled.
Yeah, there it is right there. Hector Macho Camacho. But Cleveland, he came out, I think his debut was in 77, and he's trying to fight Hector Macho Camacho in 97. Like, I mean, that's a career that's 20 years, and you don't usually get 20 years in boxing.
No.
So him fighting Hector Macho Camacho after he knocked out Donnie Lalonde, I mean, that probably should have been it, right? Really, right? That should have been the pinnacle of his career, and he shouldn't have continued. Like, leave out. How I always say, go out on your go out on top. But he didn't want to go out on top, and we saw what happened. So that's Sugar Ray. Another fighter was Roy Jones. Roy, and this is kind of a curious situation after I kind of looked a little bit deeper in this situation. We all know about the fight, the trilogy he had with Antonio Tarver. He squeaked out the first win, got knocked out in the second win. That Antonio Tarver, did your boy, what was the Hasselback, did he get any, did he steal the line from Antonio Tarver when he in the overtime against Green Bay said we're going to get the ball and we're going to score? When Antonio Tarver said, you got any questions? When they asked him if you have any questions, he said, yeah, Roy, what excuses are you gonna make now? Remember that?
I do.
I mean, that was nobody usually talks in that situation, and nor when you get the overtime, when you win the coin flip in overtime, you just say, "I want," I'm going that way. And your boy Matt Hasselbeck went over the top, and we're gonna get the ball and score, and then you saw it coming that he was gonna throw the pick, and it was gonna go the other direction, and that game was gonna be over. So that was just kind of funny, just something that came to my mind. Um, so we all know the situation where Antonio Tarver, again, mad. He was meant for because he thought he got gypped in the first time they fought. In the second fight, he laid him out. And then, if that wasn't bad enough, Roy Jones went ahead and fight Glenn Johnson, who was a journeyman boxer, if there's ever was one, a journeyman boxer, and laid him out. And that shot probably should have been it for Roy Jones, right? You would have thought that would have been it after Tarver get you, Glenn Johnson get you. But this dude, I mean, I don't know, kudos to Roy. I mean, was this a testament to how good he was? Roy Jones, after losing to Glenn Johnson in 2004, he went on to fight 23 more fights, Cleveland.
Yeah.
23. He got Bernard Hopkins. He got Phoenix Trinidad. He won those.
He never fought Bernard.
He fought Bernard Hopkins.
Did he fight him?
He fought Bernard Hopkins, yeah. That was before Bernard was X-Man. He was 16-7 after losing to Glenn Johnson. Now, 7 of those losses was obviously terrible losses because he shouldn't have been in the ring. But he did go 16-7. And it was a surprise that he went that long. And then he fought, and again, this guy started early 2000s or late 90s, I think. And then he fought last year in 2023. You had some guys just don't know when to say when, right? But he was done. He was essentially done as champion, as being the king of the ring, like when he lost to Glenn Johnson in 2004. But he had a fight 19 years later, which was surprising everybody. And why I bring this up is because last night, your guy, the Bronze Bomber, who lost to Joseph Parker in Christmas in Ryder, 12/23, Christmas of last year, or just before Christmas anyway, in a fight that most boxing fans could see that he was hesitant to pull the trigger. He was walking around the ring timid. And Joseph Parker is not anybody you would suspect that Deontay Wilder, former heavyweight champion of the world, unanimous heavyweight champion of the world, would be worried about or feared of. And Joseph Parker knocked him out. He ended up winning that fight. And then I bring up the fight. I should have had this response, fans, because I brought up to Cleveland last week on Wednesday during the show that Deontay Wilder is going to fight Zhilei Zhang. And Cleveland, what was your response, Cleveland? Do you remember? I should have that.
Hysterical laughter, fans. I apologize for my lack of professionalism. I just could not believe that was that dude's name. I could not believe that was a big fight, and I was unprepared. So it was hysterical laughter on my part.
Zhilei, I brought up Zhilei Zhang, and he couldn't hold it in, fans. He lost it. What's up, Boots? He's back.
Boots.
Well, he shot you out, Cleveland. Boots is salty with me. But thanks for tuning in, Boots, anyway. I brought it. Hey, Boots, did you watch the fight, Zhilei Zhang and Deontay Wilder? Give us your thoughts real quick. I mean, Zhilei Zhang came in. He lost about 40 pounds, so he took it a little bit more serious, although he's 41 and hard to lose weight when, if you get over a certain age. Zhilei Zhang did it. He came in and he laughed when he said Deontay Wilder want to put a body on him, put a body on his record, and thought Zilly Zhang would be the one to go down. Um, Zilly Zhang came in. He's just big. I mean, he's kind of big and overweight, so his stamina isn't what you might think. He's a heavyweight, so his stamina, he doesn't have the stamina to go 10 rounds, let alone 12 rounds. Never mind the 15 rounds that they used to go. Um, and Deontay, again, he looked like a shot fighter. Um, he looked like a shot fighter. So even from last time, he was in there. Now he let the right hand go a couple times in this fight, but it was nothing. He paused and tried to play pity pat with the Zilly Zhang for 3 rounds, but Zilly Zhang was catching him with some body blows, throwing him some. He came in there serious. He was wanting to earn that money that they're paying him. So with that, Deontay was trying to time, use the left hand to size and measure up that for the right hand. And the few times he threw it, it didn't really do any damage to Zhang. And Zhang, oddly enough, ended up in the corner. Deontay Wilder was, and Zhang was just go to the body. Now Deontay Wilder was only 217 pounds compared to the dude who's 260. So that big weight difference didn't do any benefit for Wilder. And going to the corner just to get beat on. Now you weren't moving out of the way of the punches. So Zhang was able to catch him a couple times, and then the one I showed you the clip where he got knocked out. They both threw a couple punches. Zhang seemed to catch Wilder on the chin, which really didn't drop him, but Wilder kind of turned his body and turned his head away from Zhang, and Zhang chased him down and caught him with a good right hook on the chin, kind of unsuspected. Wilder was going the opposite direction. Here comes a punch, and Wilder didn't really see it coming. He connected right on the chin, and he went down and laid down, hit his head on the mat, and he couldn't make the 10 count. And that was it. That might have been it for Wilder. Do you see Wilder getting in the ring again? I mean, the Saudis. This is two fights he had in 6 months. Now, I don't know what he made from the fight. Let's see if I can see what he made in these fights. But do you see Wilder coming back?
For sure. Yeah, it's like you said at the start of the show. Boxers are always the last ones to know. And the thing that makes you a champion is also the same thing that will leave you out there far longer than you really should be. You see it in the same thing in MMA. You saw Chuck Liddell fight way too many fights. You saw Tito Ortiz fight way too many fights. You saw Sparta Silva fight way too many fights. I mean, you saw, most recently Oscar De La Hoya get beat down by Ricky Hatton. I mean, it's just they don't know when to stop, and I think in their mind, I don't want to put words in their in their mouth, but they think that their aura of invincibility will be there forever, and it's just not. Their timing is off as they get older. Their reflexes are slower as they get older. It's just not a good thing, but no one can tell them to stop, and they'll keep doing it until unfortunately bad things happen.
So just looking up real quick, Wilder made around $10 million for the fight in December, for fighting Joseph Parker, and he made about roughly $4 to $5 million last night for fighting Zilly Zhang. There was a guarantee of $8 million, so however that's split. So right there, $15 million for 2 fights in Rida is another. If they have another $5 million on the table, you think that's enough to bring him out of? I mean, I don't care to see that, actually. To be honest with you, I don't care to see that fight. Wilder and Joshua was a fight that never happened. I guess Joshua would have to have a terrible loss for that fight to be in the making, because that fight was a highly anticipated fight that again just never happened. So, would you want to see an Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder fight?
Well, boxing is one of those sports that defies logic, really. I mean, and it is much more revisionist than almost any other sport. You're always kind of like uh, holding on to what a fighter has done in the past, adverse what they really have done the last couple of fights. And I don't think Deontay Wilder's any different. I think that there's still, a certain fan base that thinks he's just one right hand away from turning it all around. And in his own mind, he feels the same way. So um, all boxers reflect after, taking losses like that. But their ego and their hunger and their drive pushes them back towards the ring. So I think he'll be there. Would I want to see it? No, not necessarily. In the same way that, I'm somewhat relieved that the Paul Tyson fight has been postponed a little bit. Maybe this will kind of, bring Tyson to his senses a little bit. I don't
Is
really
I
necessarily want
mean,
to see that. So,
I don't think that's a good thing. I think the postponement obviously doesn't benefit Tyson any
oh,
doesn't
but I
benefit
mean,
Tyson.
the only thing that you can hope for is that maybe he comes to his senses and doesn't actually get in the ring. But that's probably not going to happen either because he's what, a former, the youngest heavyweight champion in the history of boxing. So he still feels like that, even though he's 56 years old.
He,
That getting in the ring is a good thing, and it's not.
he won the heavyweight championship when in 86, 86, 87, something like that. And here we are in
Yeah, I mean, we're
2020.
talking about what, 37 years ago, right? So yeah, 87.
Oh my goodness gracious, that's ridiculous. And it's yeah, I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think it's a good thing from Tyson if he had some kind of flare up on the airplane, traveling. What's gonna happen when you get in the ring?
Ring and you're fighting with somebody that's younger and stronger than you. Yeah.
Yeah, what's gonna happen then? Um, so I don't know, fans. What do you guys think? Do you guys expect to see Wilder again? Should he fight again? Or what was the worst situation where a boxer came back to fight that was kind of over the hill? We talked about Sugar Ray Leonard, Roy Jones, and now Deontay Wilder. What's in your memory, fan? Hit us up in the chat if you guys want to share your comments on shot fighters and who was the worst situation you saw. Now we still see. Oh, we saw Bernard Hopkins fight until his 50s, right? Um, but his style of fight, he wasn't. He not only was he not a heavyweight, like he was a more measured fighter, right? He was avoiding punches and fighting. I don't want to say nobodies, but he wasn't fighting for championships at his 50s. But it is what it is. Pretty interesting conversation, though. Pretty interesting topic. Cleveland, something else that's been happening. Didn't happen just over the weekend, but this is happened over the last couple of weeks. Is is this a welcome Caitlin Clark should have expected to the WNBA? I mean, she's been getting roughed up by teams all around the league. The Fever are now 2-8 in their first 10 games. So a couple questions: should the league be doing more to protect her? Does she need to toughen up, or are they just taking cheap shots at her? What do you think about Caitlin Clark's welcome into the WNBA?
Well, I don't think that the league can do anything about that. You can't anticipate that type of physical play. Um, should she toughen up a little bit? I think that she has toughened up quite a bit since her college days, all of like 3 months ago. Was this
Oh,
to be
yeah.
was this to be expected? I think the closest comp I can come up with is not in the same sport, but when Reggie Bush came to the NFL, everybody was just adamant that they were not going to be on the Reggie Bush highlight reel. This was not going to be the Fresno State game. So every play, everyone swarmed to him. Same with Caitlin. I think they are a little bit jealous and have a little bit of animosity with regards to how quickly she's been anointed without really actually doing anything. Didn't even actually win a national championship. So they're definitely making it a point to be a lot more physical with her. and kind of take out their frustrations on the court, to be perfectly honest.
You bring up Reggie Bush. I probably was the one guy in America who did not believe, or I was not confident, Reggie Bush's USC game would translate into the NFL. And I'm gonna make a analogy here that you may or may not agree with. I know we weren't doing the show obviously back then in Reggie Bush's college days, mid 2000s, but unlike Christian Jackson McCaffrey, who actually ran between the tackles in college football, Reggie Bush was all speed. He was going, they were pitching to him outside. If he can get the corner, he was gone. And that was it. Reggie did, they had, the way Pete has built that team was they had Lindell White running in between the tackles and running and gaining those tough yards. And then Reggie Bush was the change of speed back who was, he had speed and was elusive, and he wasn't breaking tackles, but he was breaking to the outside and putting guys on highlight videos. So I personally did not expect Reggie Bush to be a breakout star in the NFL. I was surprised when he played for my Miami Dolphins and he rushed for over 1,200 yards. That blew me away. But coming out from USC to the NFL, I was one of the few who did not think that game would translate. Because, like I say, unlike Christian Jackson McCaffrey, who I told you would be able to be an efficient running back in the NFL, the difference being that at USC, or excuse me, at Stanford, they ran McCaffrey. He ran the ball. He was an outside running back. He was an outside runner. He ran between the tackles. They ran pulling guard behind him. They ran plays for him that showed that he's a legitimate running back. Do you follow what I'm saying?
No, I understand that you have that opinion. I was never of that opinion that Christian McCaffrey was going to be better than Reggie Bush.
I wasn't trying to bring up. I didn't mention what you thought of Christian Jackson McCaffrey. I was trying to save you from that. I was saying just the difference that I saw between the two coming out of college was that.
Okay, well, yes, Cameron. Once again, I'm
not trying to rehash that. I'm not really trying to rehash that. I was just trying to say the difference between Reggie Bush and why I thought Reggie Bush wasn't going to be a successful running back in the NFL, because he did not run between the tackles. He was a change of pace back who they utilized strictly in open field situations and pitched it to the outside. If he got to the outside, he was gone. But that wasn't going to work in the NFL. And like I said,
I get that. But the comparison was with regards to the amount of attention that the other players are going to pay to that player, and certainly make it known that this is not college, that this is pro, and that it's going to be vastly different. It's not going to be easy. And the resentment that they have for Caitlin, getting all this attention and exposure without actually having accomplished anything, is definitely telling, and it shows every game.
So you think there's a resentment there? I don't know I don't really know, without talking to some of these players. I really don't know what to think. Clearly,
you've heard their comments. You've heard the comments from Stewie. You've heard the comments from Tarazi. You've heard the comments from a lot of the players that, like, wow, you guys have anointed this person that didn't even win an NCAA championship. And all of a sudden, Nike gives her a shoe deal worth almost $30 million. Like, no one else has gotten a shoe deal. Arenas sell out all over the country. No one else sells out arenas. And it's they're already making her something that she hasn't lived up to that accomplishment or that potential just yet.
And so I hear all that. I asked some of my buddies, some of the people, writers that I know covering the WNBA, and I asked, we had this conversation, at the end of her college career at Cleveland, would she translate? Is she going to be the bigger star in the WNBA? And I wanted to know, well, Candace Parker coming up actually won championships at Tennessee. How come she didn't get this recognition? Taurasi coming from UConn. What, she won 3 out of 4 championships? How come she didn't get this recognition? Sabrina Ionescu coming now. She got hurt. She got hurt real early in her career, but she was a 3-point shooter. Like, I would just think she was the closest I could compare to Caitlin Clark. She was a 3-point shooter, a knockdown 3-point shooter. Why wasn't she getting this recognition? So there was a number of female hoopers that I personally thought were better with the eye test, but Caitlin Clark's game was different. Now she is averaging 16 points, 5 assists or 5 rebounds, 6 assists, on 37% shooting, and 31% from the 3-point arc. But I thought there was much better girls to come out of college basketball that deserve some of this recognition that Caitlin Clark is getting. I just didn't know what it was with Caitlin Clark, and I've been told multiple times, well, it's the Steph Curry effect. She shoots from deep. She plays a game at 6 foot that many girls can play. Every girl's not what Candace Parker is 6'5", 6'6". Every girl's not 6'5" or 6'6". Cannot play that game. Shamika Holzclaw, who was 6'3", every girl isn't 6'3" who can come in there with that type of game. So she's average height. That's a game that everybody can play. I don't know if that's the explanation I was getting. It's still kind of weird to me that again, there's just been numerous girls that come out of college basketball. Why is she the one that caught everybody's eye? And the Steph Curry effect is the one. She's shooting deep threes, and that's caught everybody's attention. Do you agree with that? I don't know that I guess I understand that, but I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that she's just, come along at a really good time for women's basketball. She was, there was more eyes on the college women's game, and she did break the all-time scoring record, so it's not like she can't shoot. And I think it just, people gravitated towards that. I mean, it's not really her fault that she's more popular than those other players were. And I'm sure the animosity and resentment only goes so far, because it's not like she's a braggadocious kind of a player that like just is always chirping in your ear about how great she is. I mean, I think she's kind of taking it, fairly gracefully with regards to her popularity. And she didn't ask for all of this. It's just, it just came with, the timing of, the women's game being that much more popular and, them trying to take advantage of it. If those other girls could have sold out arenas all over the place, you have to move the game to, where the men play, then, so be it. But that's not how it transpired. And, she's kind of taken a little bit of the brunt of that.
Now I know, as a fellow Washington Husky, or I know whose record she broke for the scoring title. How many people out of 10 do you believe know the record she broke for the scoring title? You brought up and I mentioned that because you brought up the scoring title being the one that she became the all-time women's scorer in NCAA history. Well, whose record did she break? Why is that relevant? You know what I'm saying? Not, I know but how many others out of 10 do you believe know who that was?
I think if you're not really following women's basketball closely, I think maybe 1 in 10 would know that she broke Kelsey Plum's record.
Well, Cleveland, you don't follow women's basketball, so cut it out. I'm not going to buy that. But do you know? Did you? Because she went to University of Washington. I would suspect that's 98% of the reason why you know who it is. Other than that, you don't follow women's basketball to know. Am I right? Am I right?
That's a valid point. I was trying to give her a little bit more credit. It would probably be, I didn't want to be like, well, no one would know that, You didn't go to UW. Why would you know that? Like, it's probably
I'm
the
just saying,
correct.
still. I mean, still, how many people would know that? And honestly, I'm being honest right now. I know you know. I mean, Kelsey was a hooper. I didn't realize Kelsey had. I honestly didn't realize Kelsey had the scoring record. I think I might have saw it on some Sports Center clip, but I remember Kelsey being able to put up shots. But I remember I didn't remember that she was actually the scoring title. So when Caitlin Clark broke her record, obviously you see the list and you go from there. Yeah, Candace and Diana, they came from I mean that's a good point.
They came from the two biggest women's college basketball programs that there is. South Carolina is kind of putting themselves on the map, but it starts
You still have to perform, right? Just because
yeah,
you went to Duke.
both
I
of
mean,
those players
Austin Rivers went to Duke. Austin Rivers went to Duke. That didn't mean. Does that mean that he was a top player? Your new coach of the Lakers went to Duke. So does that mean he's automatically going to be the one of the best NBA players around? Like, is he going to be the best coach around because he went to Duke? I mean, new heights, and yeah, I agree with that. Breaking records is
yeah, the logo jumper is definitely popular, and she was able to exploit that at the college level, but it's quite a bit harder to do at the pros, especially when you have a bullseye on your back.
Yeah, and they're touching her up. They're touching her up.
Oh, they're more than touching her up. They're giving her the Pistons treatment. They're giving her the bad boys treatment.
Now, should the league be doing more to protect her?
What can they do to protect her? They can't be out there on the court. All they can do is find the players that do it. And the women's game is quite a bit more physical than the men's game. I'm sure you've noticed that. So
they should issue some some ejections. If they eject the couple players for touching up Caitlin Clark.
You also don't want to go to the Jordan rules either, right? Where you just can't breathe on the person. So there's got to be.
No, I mean, come on, they're not just breathing on Caitlin. They're not just breathing on Caitlin.
So what I'm saying is, like, if you're saying should the league do something to protect her, I'm just saying don't go as far as like the Jordan rules where you can't do anything, but clearly having a little bit more ramifications when you throw somebody into the backstop, yeah. Or push somebody down and kick them, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I didn't see the ball come in their direction when the girl from the sky just kind of went and body checked her. I didn't see the ball coming in their direction. That wasn't that wasn't in the course of action. You know what I'm saying?
There's some wrestling holes going on down there. There's some definite cheap shots that are not going at other players that are going at her. So that's not a figment of her imagination by any stretch.
So you don't think the league should be doing anything to go out of their way to protect the girl?
I think there's no way to do that other than to impose.
Give away some ejections. Eject some of these girls. That's
no, we're not ejecting anybody, but you will get fined tremendously, and they don't make enough money to get fined tremendously. So
yeah, exactly. So what's the fine?
That will be
$1,000. I mean,
no. I mean, if you go, yeah. They don't make enough money for you to go crazy with the fines, but if you went crazy enough to kind of like 2 or 3 games worth of checks, yeah, they'll stop.
Or fine you the next game with no pay or something like that. Yeah, the players will feel that. I don't know. I'm just spitballing. Kind of, is there something that the league could do? Should they be doing more to protect her? Because right now it doesn't look like they're doing anything. They're just like, okay, get after her, and here's a tee. We'll tee you up, but that's about it. Because these girls are taking cheap shots, and
for sure,
I guess they're saying stay out of the lane because it's only going to get worse if you come down the lane and it's a basketball play. I mean, God forbid. I mean, it's a true basketball play. That's pretty interesting. People, something else I want to touch on, man. There's an article up on voiceofthefans.org discussing the parity in the NBA. Voiceofthefans.org. Again, is discussing the parity in the NBA. Cleveland, I got a few questions kind of stemming from that article. Is the youth movement in the NBA, is that a good thing for the league that there's, for example, in this NBA finals game that we're going to see, these two teams, Boston hasn't won an NBA finals since the '08 team, I believe, with Paul Pierce and
KG and Ray Allen.
Ray Allen, yeah, and Kevin Garnett. And Dallas Mavericks haven't won an NBA finals since Dirk in 2011. I forgot Dirk got there twice.
06 and 11.
Yeah, I forgot he got there twice. So. But is that so? These are two relatively new teams, or they're not new to the finals, but we haven't seen that. Oh, it's been over a decade since either one of these guys won the finals. In competition, we had Minnesota in the Final Four. We had Minnesota, who never won an NBA Finals, has never been to the NBA Finals, and the Indiana Pacers, who hasn't won an NBA Finals since the '70s. Was it? No, I think it was the '60s. Excuse me, it was the '60s.
No,
The ABA days.
ABA. That was an ABA title.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying the ABA. They haven't been to an NBA. They haven't won a championship since the ABA days in the '60s. So in the Final Four, we had two teams that never won the NBA Finals, two teams that haven't won the finals in over a decade. Is that a good thing for the NBA?
It's a good thing if the talent, how should I put this? It's a good thing if the success is replicated. If it's just kind of like a one-time thing, which is what I am kind of feeling from this playoffs, then it probably dilutes the product a little bit, because the NBA is all about star power. So if you're kind of through happenstance and circumstance kind of gotten to a certain level, but it's not something that's sustainable, then yeah, we need real stars doing it.
Well, Cleveland, you say if this is happenstance, whoever wins the finals this year will be the sixth new NBA Finals champion in 6 years. So this is a trend now. This is beyond a trend. Now this is kind of the way things have gone, isn't it? We can say that, right? It's beyond a trend that 6 times we have a new champion every year.
But those other champions weren't necessarily new players to the league, and they weren't kind of like up and coming players that hadn't really accomplished anything. I guess Giannis would be the closest to that. Joker had already been 2-time NBA MVP. So,
but he hadn't won. I mean, so if you're well known and win, that's okay. Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is I'm not that confident in this new generation of players as you are. So from a fan standpoint, I'm not really into like flukish victories in the NBA. It's okay in other sports, but
wait. Time out. So Denver Nuggets, Golden State Warriors, who have won what is this? 1, 2, 3 in 7 years. They won 3 times in 7 years. Toronto Raptors, we understand that was new. The Lakers win. So you're saying flukish victory. Which one of these were a flukish victory? Was the Nuggets a flukish championship? Was that it?
No, I'm not talking about the ones that happened in the past. I'm talking about the trend that's kind of going forward.
Well, you just mentioned flukish championship, so I'm just want to clarify.
No, not flukish.
You said flukish championship, and I want to clarify that.
Perhaps I can clarify what it is that I was saying here.
Please clarify, because it was, you were sounding pretty.
What I am referring to is playoff appearances and playoff success.
What up, champ? So playoff appearances and playoff success. You have to get to the playoff to win the championship, don't you, Cleveland?
You certainly do. But
okay, so again, I'm stuck on this flukish championship.
It's a little bit too early to talk about this. It's a little bit too early to dissect what has actually happened in the playoffs, but there are some players that had really good playoff appearances that I don't think are going to be able to replicate that over time. I don't think they're going to be perennial playoff deep into the playoffs.
So that being said, you're questioning the sustainability of some of these teams in the NBA, right?
Yes.
Or are you questioning the sustainability of these teams who have won the NBA championship? Because as I pointed out, we've had 6 new champions over the last 6 years.
On the cusp of
sorry?
winning a championship.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
I said I'm referring to those teams that appear to be on the cusp of winning a championship and a new champion every year for the last 6 years. Certainly shows where the league is going, but is it good for the league? I don't necessarily think so.
Okay. All right. So he didn't want me to go because I was about to hammer him, fans. He didn't want me to start badgering him on his point that flukish championships. I'm still stuck on the flukish championship.
Flukish championships.
Exactly what you said. That's exactly what you said. You don't have any faith in the flukish championship. That's exactly what you said. And it sounded kind of prima donna-ish. It sounded like you were saying like Golden State wasn't a fluke. Toronto might have been a fluke. The Los Angeles Lakers weren't a fluke. You were going to say the Milwaukee. You try to clarify yourself by saying Milwaukee Bucks is Giannis. That really wasn't a fluke because he had won an MVP and Denver had won an MVP. That's kind of what the point where you were going. But you did say flukish championship.
If I said flukish championship, pardon me. I meant flukish appearances by players that I don't think are on the cusp of greatness, but it appears that way. And that will be the storyline that we'll talk about. But I don't believe in them, is what I'm saying.
So, the 2019 champion, clearly you don't believe in anybody on that team. Since each of these guys have achieved NBA basketball god level, based on somebody's definition, you don't believe in the basketball god of 2019. I don't know why you believe in the basketball god.
When is that going to be?
I don't know why you would believe in the basketball god of 2020. The basketball god of 2021. I mean, he hasn't been in the NBA finals. Has he showed up in the playoffs the last couple of years? Let alone the NBA finals? He hasn't been in the NBA finals since 2021. How is that sustainable?
Well, he's one of the 75 greatest players that ever played basketball. So
I'm sorry?
He's one of the 75 greatest players that's ever played basketball. So
Giannis?
Yeah, he's on the list.
Okay. He hasn't been in the NBA finals in the last 3 years. How he was only in one NBA finals. Where do you see sustainability there? Why isn't that one of the flukish championships that you were referring to?
Because it was won by someone that has won the MVP of the league. So if you're the best player in the league, that's not a fluke. Is it a fluke if you're the best player in the league?
He hasn't been in the NBA. Has he been in the playoffs? Has he played in a playoff game in the last 3 years?
I don't believe he played. No, don't recall his playoff record last year. And
this past year, I don't think he played this past year. I think he played in one game in 2024. No, 2023 maybe played in 1 or 2 games.
Looking a lot like Kawhi right about now.
Ooh, see. That was a low blow.
Oh, you didn't see that comment? Kind of like that JJ Redick comment? Yeah, okay.
That was a low blow. Okay, so in the past 3 seasons, he's played in 2 playoff games.
Got to get healthy.
Well, I probably played it more, but he's not part of this discussion. So then my next question was, one of my next questions, does there need to be a dragon to slay in the NBA? And you're of the belief that there needs to be, you prefer to see the dominant teams. You prefer to see the more not legacy teams in the NBA versus the OKC because you're not sure their sustainability, versus the Denver Nuggets because you're not sure their sustainability, versus Dallas Mavericks or the Minnesota Timberwolves because you're not sure of their sustainability. Do I have that correct?
Tyrese Halliburton, please throw that in there as well. Yeah. Donovan Mitchell, please throw that in there as well.
I didn't say nothing about Cleveland Cavaliers. There's one team you can get me with though, that I'm not gonna bring up. I'm not.
I won't bring it up either because it's just too easy. It's just too easy.
I mean, but there's a couple teams. Memphis is on their comeback on the rebound next season.
Yeah.
And my Sacramento Kings kind of let me down last year. But so you believe that the team they have to be these legacy teams, for lack of a better word. You have more confidence in them.
Not necessarily a legacy team, just a superstar that I believe in. I didn't see a whole lot of that this playoffs.
So it's an individual player. So it's an individual player now. Here we go with the tennis is coming out of fans. So it's the individual player that you need to have confidence in versus the team. Is this what you're stating on June 2nd, 2024? You're pointing out the individuality of okay. Just to let you guys fans know, Cleveland struggles with the team aspect of sports. I mean, all sports. You just clarified it right there. Being a tennis player, where there's a bunch of individuals.
This doesn't apply to all sports, but it applies to the NBA.
So you're saying the league is better when more notable teams are in the competition,
and notable players that you can gravitate towards that you believe will win championships.
Well, don't those players? I mean, don't you have to have some confidence in them? They have to perform, right? They have to perform consistently for you to have some confidence in them, right?
Right.
So winning one league MVP is enough for you to have confidence in Giannis winning multiple championships. He did it one time, so he can do it again. Is that what you're saying?
Does he only have one?
You tell me how many MVPs Giannis has.
He has more than one.
So multiple MVPs, then you can have confidence in them. I mean, if you have multiple MVPs and you're not winning, I mean, what is that saying about you? Does that maybe you weren't the MVP? Maybe you can't carry the team to. You can't carry the team like some people think. It only takes an MVP to carry the team.
I think that, for example, there are at least 6 teams that made the playoffs in the Eastern Conference that will not win a championship next year.
Okay. Well,
and a lot of those have a lot of young talent on them that had success this year in the playoffs, and people are projecting what they might be capable of doing down the road. But I think that projection is misguided. I think that they overachieved this year and that they'll regress back to the mean next year.
And so who are the, I mean, that's kind of a bad, I don't like that. I don't like that identification because that, I mean, the Western Conference is kind of, or the Eastern Conference isn't the best conference in the league. So you're targeting them, and that's a bad example to use.
Why is that a bad example to use?
Because you isolate the Eastern Conference. Like there's not a Western Conference. Like there's not Western Conference teams. OKC.
But the Western Conference is far more fluid, and those players are making names for themselves in a different way.
I mean, they're still in the NBA. I mean, that's yours.
Yeah, they're still in the NBA, but that wasn't your point. Your point was the new players, the up and comers that are trying to, establish themselves as, championship caliber players. And I think there's been like a false sense of security for some of these franchises with regards to whether that's sustainable or replicatable. I just don't think it is. I don't think those players are good enough and don't have enough talent around them right now.
So the New York Knicks, you don't expect them to be in the playoffs next year?
Oh, they might be in the playoffs for sure, but
You don't think they'll make the
that's
Eastern
actually not what I
Conference?
said. I said win a championship. I said there's 6 teams that won't win a championship that made the playoffs.
In the Eastern Conference? I
Yeah.
mean, you're not going out on a limb by saying that, really. You think
Right.
you're not
I'm absolutely not going out on a limb, but that
yeah,
encompasses quite a few of your young up and comers, right?
I don't think I mentioned anybody from the Eastern Conference as being in that class. I mean, I think we know the strength of the league is in the Western Conference.
Right,
Unless
calculus problem. So we can go to the Western Conference. How many of those teams do you think are going to get this far? Do you see the
going to
Minnesota?
be in the Western Conference Finals?
For example, do you see the Minnesota Timberwolves as currently constructed getting to the Western Conference Finals next year?
As currently constructed, I mean, there'll be definitely some moves. Do they have the potential? They did it this year. They can do it next year. Like I wouldn't say
That's what I'm saying.
to
I'm
your
not
point.
convinced. I'm not convinced that what they did this year is replicatable.
Right, to your point that this was a fluke Western Conference appearance for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I disagree with
Western
you.
Conference Finals appearance.
Yeah, Western Conference Finals appearance. I mean, there's OKC that they have to that's still out there that can contend with them for that spot. There'll be obviously the Denver Nuggets, Dallas Mavericks obviously will be there. I mean, who knows? Sacramento Kings. I'd say that my guy is not healthy. De'Aaron Fox is not happy with what you have to say right now. He's not happy with your evaluation of the team, and so there may be some changes. There may be a difference in attitude he comes with next season. So to prove you wrong, as with Ja Morant and Desmond Bain does not like Desmond Baines and Marcus Smart. You've been laughing at these guys and laugh all season long since the end of last season. You've been laughing at these guys. Desmond Bain, Marcus Smart.
I've been laughing ever since you had to sit Desmond Bain down and put your arm around him and have a talk with him.
And he doesn't appreciate that. He let me know personally that he doesn't appreciate
and your guy, Mr. All Hustle Team, Marcus Smart, full of energy.
Again, they're not happy with being out of the playoffs, and they're getting an early draft pick.
Are they going to take it out on somebody next year?
I mean, there's a team. They owe a team in the Western Conference, and in Los Angeles specifically, who swept them out of the playoffs a couple of years ago.
That guy that pokes bears. Yeah, he poked the bear.
Well, they got rid of that guy. And he went to a new team who's just missed the playoffs last season. I told you on talent alone.
41, they were right there.
I told you on talent alone they should have been in the playoffs, and now Ime's been there with them one season. Fred VanVleet's not happy, and Alpharine Shingun, he got something to prove. Like the Western Conference is tough, and I don't know that I like the youth movement. This is a long way to say that I like the youth movement. I like that there's new blood in NBA, and they're not these more notable teams or teams that you're most familiar with. The regurgitation of some of these old teams, like Golden State, the Lakers, the Suns, like they're gonna have to really team up to get for either one of those teams to get into the NBA playoffs next season. It's not going to be. I don't think your boy. Now that the Lakers have access to their number 17 pick in, New Orleans, just deferred till next year. I don't think picking LeBron or Bronny James at 17 is going to get the Lakers into the playoffs. I don't think that's going to be a difference maker. I don't think if Golden State was to draft Bronny in the late 20s, that's going to get them into the playoffs. Like Phoenix Suns, the Lakers, Golden State Warriors, they're going to have to work something out amongst each other. Only one of those teams make the playoffs next season. And I'm not sure who it is. Only one of those teams. So these legacy players that you speak of, Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, that you're so confident in that their legacy has built them a playoff run. I don't know that we're going to see that next year. I'm not confident in seeing that. I'd rather see the Ja Morants, the Desmond Baines, do what they can, the Jaren Jackson Jr. do what they can in the playoffs. What kind of noise can they make? The Anthony Edwards, and they're gonna have to make some changes. The Nas Reed. See, I know you don't like to hear the Nas Reeds and the Jaden McDaniels. I know you don't want to hear those names, but those are the names who's gonna be a factor in the NBA moving forward. I know you don't want to talk about Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and the
Okay,
Chase Holmgren.
I'm okay.
You're not ready. You're not
okay.
ready to hear those voices.
I'm okay talking about Shea. He's not ready to win a championship, though. I'm okay talking about him.
What does Shea need to? Shea was a runner-up in the league MVP category, so he needs to win an MVP, and then you'll be like, "Oh, the rest of the league acknowledge what he can do. Maybe I'll jump on board now." Is that what needs to happen? Because you want to talk about Giannis and who hasn't played in the playoff game in 2 seasons, but you want to talk about he has potential. You have confidence in him. What does Shea need to do to have your confidence? Because he's a runner-up in the MVP category. Now he's pretty close. Now that the rest of the league is talking about him, are you ready to talk about him?
I got no problem talking about Shea. Will he get to the Western Conference Finals?
Chet and Jalen Williams, you want to talk about Chet and Jalen Williams?
I like Chet. Chet's been a pleasant surprise. The way he was camped out in the paint, just swatting shots left and right. That was cool. I like the that duo. Are they ready to win the championship? No. I don't believe it.
So who's going to be? Let's make an early prediction, Cleveland. I'm not going to hold you to
I'm not making any early predictions. Although win the championship next year, Cameron.
Although I'm not going to hold you. I'm not going to hold you to this. Although I'm going to write it down.
I'm not even going to entertain that question, Cameron.
I mean,
I'm not skipping to 2025. Who's going to win the championship?
You're telling me who's not. You're telling me who you confident in, who's not winning it. Why don't you tell us who's going to win it?
Because it's 2024. We don't even know who's won the 2024 championship yet. We don't know what free agency looks like. We haven't seen anything. I'm not going to be doing all that.
I mean, he wants to tell me who he's not confident in, but he don't want to tell me who he has confidence in. Do you have confidence in that team in the purple and gold to be in a East Western Conference Finals next season?
Not if they don't make some critical moves.
Oh, there's a moment of truth. There's a moment of truth right there. There's a moment of truth. What moves would you like to see? Is Bronny James going to get it done?
That's not the move I was talking about, Cameron.
No. Do you want Draymond Green? You want him to go to state?
No, we do not need Draymond Green.
No. I mean, well, make a suggestion. Throw something out there.
I'd like to see, DeRozan, Levine, Trae Young. One of those players would be cool. Perhaps DeJounte.
Perhaps DeJounte would be the best of those guys named, but why would Atlanta? Well, Atlanta. Who knows? Who knows what Atlanta? Why would they? I was gonna say, why would Atlanta send DeJounte to the Lakers? But who knows? Quinn, I'm kind of disappointed in Quinn. I don't know if Quinn is just coaching the team or he has decision making authority with Atlanta, but I'm severely disappointed in what's transpired with the Atlanta Hawks since Quinn's been there. Because we just seen just another mediocre season from him. He had a full year with them this past season, a full year.
Wow, the coach couldn't do that, huh? It's weird.
I mean, if you let you tell it, Trae Young is a budding all-star who I have zero confidence in. I have more confidence in DeJounte Murray. Maybe that's the problem. He keeps rolling Trae out there. Maybe they should just trade Trae and see what happens. Trade Trae and see what happens.
Might be the best for both.
Yeah.
Both parties.
Yeah. Give the coach some slack out there. So that was my questions, fans. I just want to ask a couple questions on today, give you guys thinking about it. If you guys want to hit us up @_voice of the fans on Twitter, @_voice of the fans on Twitter, you can reach the show. Cleveland, what's your Twitter handle?
@Clevey Wonder on Twitter, Clevey Wonder on TikTok, and Cleveland Still on Instagram.
And if you guys care to, again, we talked about the shot fighters today. Open up with the shot fighters. We talked about Caitlin Clark. Is there anything the league should be doing to protect the Golden Goose as you would? Because her welcome, they're beating her up early in this season. In the first 10 games, they're really getting to her. And you can check out the article on voiceofthefans.org. Voiceofthefans.org. There's a good article up there. Do you like the parity in the NBA? And just want to open up the discussion on Do you like the youth movement? Does there need to be a dragon to slay? A dragon meaning the more notable teams in the NBA finals? Does there need to be more notable teams in the league? Does that entice you or interest you more than just seeing the newcomers, the young players in the NBA? What entices you more? I guess is a better way to sum
flash
that
in
up.
the pan, if you will.
What's that?
The flash is in the pan, if you will. I believe that's what you were trying to say.
No, that's what you were trying to say.
Flash.
Again, because you're going back there. You going back to those fluky championships again.
Tyrese Halliburton.
There you go back to those fluky challenge championships. And
Tyrese.
What about Tyrese Maxey? Is he a flash in the pan as well?
Yep.
See how you do, man. We're gonna end it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
We're gonna end it there, man. Clearly, he's delusional out there in the West Coast. But let's get
for me and then come back with 16 the next game.
Let's give Cleavon a round of applause for joining us on the show, and thank you guys. Give yourselves a round of applause for making time. Shout outs to Boozilla. Shout outs to CD Dog. Thank you guys for joining in, and we appreciate you guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and check us out on Wednesday evening, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for a full show. We'll give you a full show of the Voice of the Fans podcast. Appreciate your time, fellas.